Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Roads Family channel. This is the second installment to the Final Exodus Countdown 2023. In this segment, I will present how I arrived at the year 2023. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. To those who are drawn by the Almighty Yahuah, to Yahusha Mashyach, as it is written in John 6:44. For no man can come unto the Father except by the Son, and I submit to you the Son is indeed the Word of the Almighty Father manifest before us. He came physically, and the Almighty Father Yahuah sent his set-apart spirit in Yahusha's name, as written in John 14:26. My name is Symmanayah, my brothers and sisters, and I am merely a brother to you who are drawn by the Almighty Father. And I must test the messages that stir within me. I must bring forth the things that I am compelled to do, for I know of no other direction to turn. But before I get into this segment, I want to say that the views expressed do not necessarily reflect the owners, the managers, the shareholders, and or sponsors of this media platform. With that said, let's get started, for there will be a final exodus. There will be a gathering of 144,000 and a great multitude. Come with me, my brothers and sisters, as I take you to the 7th chapter of Revelation and read a portion of it. Here we see in the 4th verse of the 7th chapter, and I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Yashar'al. Drop down to the 9th verse, and many people neglect that it also states in this same chapter, after this I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, deliverance belongs to our Almighty One who sits on the throne and the Lamb. Drop down to the 14th verse, my brothers and sisters, for it's important for you to recognize. It was questioned, who is this great multitude of many nations, kindreds, and tribes? And it says, and I said to him, Master, you know. And he said to me, these are those coming out of the great distress. Some versions say tribulation, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, they are before the throne of the Almighty One and serve him day and night in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat. Because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them and lead them to fountains of water of life. And the Almighty One shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. My brothers and sisters, so many people quick to talk about the 144,000, but they neglect the great multitude. So many people fail to accept that there is and will be a great multitude. From many nations, kindreds, and tribes. But they too will be amongst the gathered, my brothers and sisters. They too will be amongst those drawn by the Almighty Father back to the promised land. I want to take a moment, my brothers and sisters, share with you my encounter over 20 years ago. Actually, 40 years ago. It's been 40 years, over 40 years ago. I had an encounter, my brothers and sisters. It was a time, over 40 years ago was a time that I actually received the name Symmanayah different from my birth name. I believe the Almighty Father gave me that name. It was a time of fasting and praying and seeking to worship and obey him with all intensity and sacrifice. I was given this name by him. But also what happened during a time of fasting and praying, I had an encounter. I was resting in my bed in the Midwest, in the state of Indiana. And I saw messengers from the Almighty Father singing the most beautiful song one could imagine. And as they were singing the songs, they were ordering the planets to line up. And they put strong emphasis on Saturn and Jupiter. And the planets began to line up and they were singing. And the song was a song that they were singing to order the planets, but it was also to make way for deliverance for the children of Yashar'al. I woke up from the dream not knowing what it meant. I knew that at some point, because during this time in fasting, I was told that I would eventually end up in the Commonwealth or the state of Virginia at the appointed time. And so I didn't know why I had this dream, and it kept echoing in my spirit. And then this happened in 1980. By 2015, I and my family relocated to the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. I was instructed that Yashar'al in the Western Hemisphere will be gathered in the state of Virginia before going across the pond, the ocean known as the Atlantic, and heading back. Those whom he has appointed and chosen to fulfill the final Exodus. And that I would be a contributing factor to that. My brothers and sisters, I have now been in Virginia for nearly 6 years. Most recently, my brothers and sisters, there's been much talk about the 400 years for Yashar'al to come out of captivity, to come out of bondage. Many believed it was 2019 was the year, and some stretched it to 2020, and some said that was the year that judgment began. But what's interesting, Yashar'al, is this. On December 21st of 2020, an event occurred, an event called the Great Conjunction. I invite you to use your search engine and put in the Great Conjunction and read the article. There's an article that lists the year 1623 of the last Great Conjunction. And I didn't know what a Great Conjunction was, and I began to read. It was when the planets lined up, and most closely when Jupiter and Saturn became in a line in a specific position. It created a great bright star. And when I read that and I looked at 1623, I had a phenomenal experience. And I believe that the Spirit of the Almighty Father was telling me 400 years from 1623 is 2023. And this great conjunction happened on December 21st, December 21st, most recently of 2020. And I said a great star. And it's as though my spirit stirred and the Almighty Father was saying, I brought about a great star when my word manifests before the world in the person of Yahusha. That marked the physical deliverance of Yashar'al and those who I have drawn into the body of Yashar'al, both Hebrews and Goyim, which means other nations, or Hebrew and Gentiles, or Abraham and Goyim. Those whom he had brought together, those whom he had deliverance for, he brought a bright star. And then he brought my attention to this great conjunction. I've seen times where articles talk about the planets lining up, but not at the magnitude and manner in which occurred December 21st of 2020. And I believe the Spirit of the Almighty Father said, this bright star marks the beginning of the tribulation, a point in the tribulation where deliverance will begin to be magnified before my people. And I will gather them together, and their 400 years will end, and they will return to the place in which I have appointed them to be. My brothers and sisters, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of mixed thoughts, a lot of mixed beliefs, positions on end times. I can only present what I believe has been correct. I believe that Isaiah 55:11, that talks about the Almighty Father's word will not return void, but it will accomplish the words that it was designed to do. It is for that reason I'm confident, O Yashar'al, that those who will be stirred by the Spirit of the Almighty Father Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name will bear witness to what is about to happen. My brothers and sisters, there are set apart signs and indicators, and there are imitators and replicas. There are many people who are talking about what's getting ready to happen: tsunamis, earthquakes, pandemics, disease, famine, pestilence. Many are echoing true words from the scriptures. Many of them want to appear as though that they are in tune with the Spirit, the voice of the Spirit of the Almighty Father, and that He has directed them. And many have bled into issues where they're saying that He even directed them on who's going to be involved in His politics and government affairs. Many people are saying the Almighty Father told them, and He revealed this to them. And many are talking about deciphering codes. Bottom line, there's a lot of imitators and replicas trying to attach themselves to what they believe is true, but they're adding or perverting it. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, out of all the signs, do not think that there will not be set apart signs and indicators for Yashar'al to prepare for movement. Let me read the following. Come with me to Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. It reads, and Yahusha had been born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herodes, the sovereign. See, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born sovereign of Yehudim? For we saw his star in the east and have come to do reverence to him. Magi were wise men, my brothers and sisters, men of wisdom, recognized the star and discerned that it was the indicator that our Savior, our Mashyach, was born. And they came to give reference and confirm and recognize what has occurred. And I submit to you, as the Mashyach's physical birth indicated a time of deliverance for Yashar'al, I conclude that just as much as the Almighty Father does not change, a bright star, the great conjunction that occurred December 21st, 2020, marks deliverance for His children, the beginning of deliverance for His children, just as it did when it marked the beginning of Yahuwah's word manifest before us. We are about to see the word of Yahuwah in spirit working in us and through us, physically and spiritually. The final Exodus, countdown 2023, it will be magnified, and I believe it will be mostly complete by December 21st, 2023. Let me read Luke 21:11 and 12. You see, man might have tampered with a lot of things, but the Almighty Father has a way of making himself, his actions known to us. Luke 21:11 and 12 say, and there shall be great earthquakes in various places, scarcities of food, deadly diseases, and there shall be horrors and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to congregations and prisons, being brought before sovereigns and rulers for my name's sake. He goes on, if you drop to the 25th verse, I'm in the 21st chapter of Luke, and it reads, in the 25th and 26th, and then there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars and on the earth, anxiety of nations and bewilderment at the roaring of the sea and agitation, and men fainting for fear in expectation of what is coming on the earth. For the power of the heavens shall be shaken. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, over the years, I've presented many warnings and instructions. I invite you to look at a series that I've called The Closing Scroll. If you look around, my brothers and sisters, you will see, if you were to put an X on areas that are no longer habitable or that are becoming more and more uninhabitable, not fit to live, or that's showing that it's on a trajectory towards destruction, or areas that lack the capacity to receive the great multitude that will be gathered. If you look at Japan, it sunk during Fukushima incident. Plus, it's like a gigantic island. It could not hold a world population, nor is it mentioned in the scriptures in the end times. If you look at Australia, it's like a gigantic island. It's not mentioned. Put an X on it. If you look at South America, the Western Hemisphere is not mentioned in the final days of man. Currently, much destruction has taken place with the Amazon forest. There's famine and pestilence. There's disease, lack of jobs, starvation. There are a lot of influencers that's driving those from South America to North America, specifically the United States. Could we be witnessing a prelude where there are more children flooding into the United States than adults? Could this be a prelude to the end times? For I am compelled to believe that the final Exodus will be mostly children. Mostly children. Just as we see coming from South America, the Exodus out of the Western Hemisphere is soon to come. Widespread destruction, widespread death. It's coming, O Yashar'al. And know this, there will be the elder, the older, the parents. There will be times of movement where it be so much congestion, so much urgency, but not enough room. The capacity to move everybody will not be there. There will be parents saying, at the very least, take my child. Take my child to safety. Take my child to the promised land. I release my children to you. Who is this you? Teachers, counselors, guards, elders, the adults that would participate in the final Exodus to guide the young. Yes, so there will be some adults, but mostly children. Just as in the days of Mashyach or Moses, a specific generation reached the promised land, so shall we see in this final Exodus, a specific generation with some adults. The closing scroll. If you look at Europe is experiencing all types of conditions that make it uninhabitable. It is not large enough to hold the gathering of Yashar'al, nor those who would be among the final days to come in war against Yashar'al. If you look in the scriptures, my brothers and sisters, you see it speaks of the Garden of Eden, and it describes where it's located. And if you look at end times, you see that the wicked nations came together in the valley of Megiddo. Most people call it Armageddon, the Battle of Armageddon. It didn't say that they fought in Armageddon. It said the wicked nations gathered in Megiddo, the valley of Megiddo. And I submit to you, they gathered there, and then they marched towards the gathered camp of Yashar'al, the house of Yashar'al that has been collectively brought together in whole. Over the next several videos, my brothers and sisters, I will mention these things again as I have mentioned them in past. The closing scroll. Search the scriptures, and I challenge you to find any descriptions of any nations outside the region where life began, which is commonly known as the Middle East, which is actually the northeastern part of Africa. This is a section of the world that will be preserved until the physical return of Yahusha Mashyach. Everything else is about to face massive destruction. The scroll has begun closing already. I invite you again to listen to that series, my brothers and sisters. With movement comes formation, preservation. I believe in Ezekiel, 1st chapter, when our brother spoke of seeing wheels, that the wheels that are describe the formation of Yashar'al as we begin to come together. As we begin to gather together, we will gather together in formations as wheels, with the youngest of the young, the senior amongst the elders, in the center, with us guarding around them as we migrate towards the promised land. There's a formation that will take place. There will be those of the tribes of Yashar'al who are ordered to guard and preserve and protect as we find ourselves beginning to move from one point to the next. There will be intermittent movement. For those of the Western Hemisphere, again, I believe we will gather in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and depart. I believe we will be loaded on container ships with containers vented so we can breathe. For container ships are the largest vessels that can contain large, exorbitant numbers of people. You see, an airplane is only so big and can only carry so many. Even a cruise ship tops out about 4,000 or 5,000, maybe 8. But container ships can carry upwards of 25 to 40, 50,000 people. And imagine 10 container ships, 2.5 million people, 20 container ships, 30 with Yashar'al loading aboard. Pray and watch, O Yashar'al, for the wicked one will come to a point where they will assist in our departure. Why? Because we are the restrainer. If you go to 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter, 7th verse, it talks about a restrainer. Until that restrainer is removed, the fullness of the Antichrist or anti-Messiah cannot be. And he wants to have the one world government. He wants to execute the mark of the beast, all that is described in end times. But this cannot fully occur until we are removed out of their midst, back to the promised land. Pray and watch, O Yashar'al. And there will be those of us who will be martyrs for Yahusha's name. There will be those of us who will be caught in unbelief that it shouldn't be happening now. There will be the rebellious, and there will be the wicked. There will be those led astray, and there will be the obedient. I understand what's getting ready to happen. Congestion, as people flock to the direction they believe they should go. But you are set apart, Yashar'al. Each of us have a part that we are tasked to do. Some of us will be tasked to remain in place so as the final destruction comes and we face physical death, that we are in a place to tell people this is all a part of the plan of Yahuwah and that he still loves you. And know this, that he who seeks to gain his life will lose it, and he who loses himself for Yahusha's sake will gain it. It is our perception and our understanding and belief, wheresoever we are as these things come to be, we would recognize that our position will fall in the position of discipline for the children of Yahuwah, being obedient to what he asks and orders of us. Vengeance will be the perception to those who do not understand that it was promised because of the harm they've done to the innocent. From abortions to senior citizens in between, the innocent who have died, vengeance will come. And to the wicked who just blatantly fight against Yahuwah and cause destruction, his wrath will come. Promised discipline, vengeance, and wrath is unfolding as I speak And the leadership and structure of Yashar'al that will be intermittent as we come together. We will find small groups merging into larger groups, until we have a massive number that will fulfill what is written. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. I will speak more on this in the coming days. Come with me, my brothers and sisters. Let me say this. Less than 3 years is my expectation. And in this less than 3 years, there is much to do, much to teach our young, much to teach our youth, our young adults, and our seniors. How to become one. How to be as one. How to understand and discern the scriptures as they come alive. How to come away from all the major differences that are now separating Yashar'al, such as when a day begins. How to guard Shabbat. What is the purpose of the full moon, the new moon? The purposes of the 7 major feast times. We will learn all that is necessary to bring us as one, from our communications to our attire to our behavior. All of this will come to be in less than 3 years. Those leaders who are chosen by the Almighty Father will yield and repent to correction. Those leaders who will stand on their own ego and continue to spit out erroneous teachings and behaviors will be made straight, whether it be sickness or sickness to death. We will find such leaders being purged from our midst. In some cases, we will be coming away from them. I ask the question, O Yashar'al, are you satisfied with your pastor, your community head, your deacon, your bishop, your moray, your teacher, your spiritual influencer? Are they equipping you on what to do during these end times? In the event of their demise, are they telling you what you need to do to gird up and prepare for fulfilling your task? Or are they busy feeding their own egos, looking back in the past of what they did yesterday or yesteryear? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, we have less than 3 years before December 21st of 2023 come. And there will be much humbling taking place as widespread destruction, as more diseases, as the pandemic gets serious. My brothers and sisters, pray and watch. The promises from the Almighty Father will come to be. And I believe this, if these messages were stripped from one media source to the next, they cannot stop what the Almighty Father promises, that his word will not return void. It will do what it set out to do. The messages will go forward. Let me read the following to you, O set apart family. Matthew 24th chapter, verse 21 through 25. It says, for then there shall be great distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until the time, no, nor ever shall be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh will be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. And if anyone then says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there, do not believe. For false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. See, I have forewarned you. Less than 3 years, O Yashar'al. There are the imitators, the copiers. There are those who are called arch-thieves. In other words, if you receive something from the Almighty Father in Yahusha's name, and you present it, there will be those that will confirm it and recognize that it came from the Almighty Father. That's one thing, and that's okay. But the arch-thief is ones who will take words from servants of the Almighty Father and use them and abuse them for their own gain, to lift themselves up, or to make people think that the message came to them directly, and they skew it to fit their teachings, their beliefs that are off. These are arch-thieves. Just as the Philistines, when they took the ark, faced death and destruction and returned what was not theirs back to Yashar'al, so will we witness the word of Yahuah. When those who steal the words from his messengers and pervert them or try to use them for their own gain, they will admit that I just got it from this brother or that person or this person. Ark thieves, my brothers and sisters. We will learn how to distinguish between the ark thief and those who confirm the words that are going forward. Yashar'al, or Yashar'al. It's time to seek, discern, and act. You see, while many might want to kick the can down the road, or while many are subdued by the rhetoric of governments, the propaganda machine that don't want to admit that these are end times, you, O Yashar'al, search the scriptures, seek out the voice of the Almighty Father, identify his chosen leaders, his messengers, identify what is true, identify what is happening. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the realities of end times are necessary. Let me read Isaiah 55, 6-8. Seek Yahuah while he is to be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wrong forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahuah who has compassion on him, and to our Almighty One, for he pardons much. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yahuah. End times are here, O Yashar'al. Ask questions, discuss the matters of what is necessary to come together. End times are here, and they are very much real. Choose wisely, my brothers and sisters. Our redemption is closer than you think. Let me continue. Deliverance. Deliverance is not just a word. It brings expectations. It brings processes with details. Do you think that the many members within the body of Yashar'al will not be required to do something or some things? Do you think that they will not be participant in processes with details in the bringing together of the children of Yashar'al? Consider Romans 12:1. I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One, your reasonable worship. And if you drop to the 3rd verse to the 5th, it says, for I say through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. And in that measure of belief, my brothers and sisters, I want you to know there are processes, there are details, there is work to be done. It goes on to say, for as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function. So we, the many, are one body in Messiah, and members, each one of one another. There will be the supporters of the final Exodus. There will be the participants in the final Exodus. There will be those that confirm what is happening. Yashar'al, or Yashar'al. My brothers and sisters, I know this is hard to believe, but the process for building unity is going to come with severe actions and words. You see, during the days of Mashyach, when he approached Pharaoh, for different things that he presented to convince Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, something more severe had to come. And it came one after another until finally Pharaoh released Yashar'al. Just as in the days of Moshe, Moses, so will we witness in the coming days. We will soon see leadership speak boldly about letting the people of Yahuah go, letting the tribe of Yashar'al go to the land which has been given them. And there will be people that will replicate saying, let my people go. And there must be sequential and more severe evidence. In other words, my brothers and sisters, there's going to be some people that will speak in a way that it's going to come back to back. They're going to say one thing, they're going to add to it, they're going to add to it, and each thing will be more severe to prove that the hand of the Almighty Father is with them, guiding them, and their words will be followed with the actions, such as the mountains moving that will cause the scroll to close. Tsunamis and earthquakes. Well, everybody's been talking about that's going to happen. What happens when the next voice comes and says, release the blood of the innocent into the rivers that the world may know Yashar'al must be set free? What happens when the message comes from the Almighty Father? Grounds opening up, mountains laid flat. What happens when disease after disease come? What happens when it begins to happen one after another at the words of those who are ordered to deliver such messages? Pray and watch, it's coming, O Yashar'al. Soon there will be things that will trigger mass movement with a great urgency. The process of building unity will come out of humility. Humility being the strength to yield to what is true. Humility doesn't mean be passive and weak. Humility means when you've done wrong or someone's done wrong, you have the humility to say, my mistake. Put that flesh in its place. Get under the blood of the Lamb and repent and turn to correctness and be renewed and washed by the blood to press on beyond the mistake. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. I cannot stress enough the importance of vetting and examining. I've put several messages talking about how the 7 major feast days are as a vetting tool. If you look at the sequence, the order of the 7 major feast days, and seek to discern their purpose beyond just gathering and eating and socializing and fellowship. Passover, representing the importance of instructions to life. Without those instructions, there would be no Yashar'al. Passover, instructions to life. Feast of unleavened bread. Separating the wicked influence from the set-apart influence. Understanding what leaven means is influence. Unleavened bread, uninfluenced by man, influenced by the Spirit of the Almighty Father. So we recognize that instructions bring life. Unleavened bread means the sense of urgency to separate ourselves from the wicked words, the wicked teachings, the wicked behaviors. Sure, there are times when we recognize that he prepared our table in the midst of our enemies. The next feast, first fruits. Some will get it quicker than others. Some will rise up before others. Some will be quick responders. You may be among those who get it and receive it quickly, but do not despair. You may be among the first fruits to get it. And then in time, the masses more and more get it. Thus the harvest, the feast of harvest. Now the majority, large numbers of set-apart ones are receiving the instructions and understanding it. Thus, we begin to come together. The migration, the final exodus, began to take shape. And we began to shout. So the Feast of Trumpets. We make a great noise, acknowledging the judgment of the Almighty Father, acknowledging how we appreciate his plan coming together. Out of all the excitement, we're so excited, we acknowledge the Feast of Trumpets, making a joyful noise and indicating judgment has begun. And in that excitement, we'll stumble, we'll fall, we'll make some mistakes. Thus the Feast of Atonement, to understand the blood of the Lamb, how correction can come and will come. And in that excitement, we look at atonement. And we find ourselves washed by the blood of the Lamb, made anew so that we can press on, press forward in this great gathering to come. And then we have the Feast of Tabernacle, emphasizing the house of Yahuah. And we will recognize that that earthen vessel right there in the mirror is the house of Yahuah. 2 together, it's the house of Yahuah. 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, all the children of Yashar'al, as we come together more and more, represents the house of Yahuah. And judgment will be ongoing as we are in a position where we will see what will be as iron sharpening iron. The 7 major feast days has purpose. And if you can use it to vet In other words, if a person say, I'm with you, and they want to acknowledge the Feast of Trumpets, but they ignore Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, how are you going to get the trumpets and you don't even know what you're proclaiming? If you take any one of those out of sequence, if you ignore any one of those, how could you be part of Yashar'al and you don't recognize the building blocks for bringing Yashar'al together, for guarding Yashar'al, for preserving the teachings of the Almighty Father? Let me read the following, my brothers and sisters. It is important to establish a mind to discern and obey the Almighty Yahuah's voice. Consider these words, my brothers and sisters, in Philippians chapter 1, verse 9 through 11. Philippians chapter 1, verse 9 through 11. It reads, "In this I pray that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment, for you to examine the matters that differ in order to be sincere and not stumbling into the day of Messiah, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty One." You see, my brothers and sisters, unity will come. We must identify what's different, what does not belong among the set-apart children, and be obedient to purging such or coming away. It says, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Messiah. You see, the Spirit of the Almighty Father sent in Yahusha's name make things alive, make things correct, guides us. We must establish a mind to discern and obey his voice. We must understand that we will test the things that go before us and vet them. Beware of those who start and fuel rumors, who bear false witness against a brother or a sister because they don't understand or because they're jealous that it didn't come from them. Beware of those who dismiss the words of the obedient, O Yashar'al. Let me also bring your attention once again to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 through 27. It is important, O Yashar'al, our emotions, our mental state, our physical state will be challenged beyond any experience we've ever had in the coming of days. It will get intense. Proverbs 4, 23 through 27 says, "Watch over your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the sources of life. Turn away from you a crooked mouth. Put perverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look forward, your eyelids look straight before you. Consider the path of your feet, and all your ways are established. Do not turn to the right or the left. Turn your foot away from evil." You see, Yashar'al, there are so many that desire to just give me a rule. Be to the right, be to the left. The rule is to be sensitive to the voice of the Spirit of the Almighty Father and respond. Focus is going to be important. We're going to find we're not going to have time to go back and bury the dead. We're not going to have time to be going to funerals. And I'm not making light, my brothers and sisters. I'm not making light of loved ones who will die. Some set apart, some not so much. But it's coming, Yashar'al. Parents might leave children. Children might leave parents. Husband might leave wife. Wife might leave husband. Are you not familiar in the 19th chapter of Matthew that he speaks of leaving brother, sister, leaving family members? Are you not familiar with the 10th chapter of Matthew when he talks about enemies are those in your household? You see, ultimately, my brothers and sisters, the choice is the Almighty Father. The plan is the Almighty Father. What we will experience will be disheartening, will bring pain. So it's going to be important to know when to focus forward, walk forward. You can't do anything about what happened yesterday, last night, this morning. Press into what the Almighty Father had for you. This might seem selfish and unloving, I didn't make the plan. There will be those left behind. There will be those gathered. There will be those who are part of the set-apart family and those who are not. You see, ultimately, it's the spirit of the individual. These earthen vessels will return back to the dirt, as mentioned in Ecclesiastes. Mostly children, my brothers and sisters, will be in this final Exodus. And there will be guides, instructors, teachers, counselors, elders among them, helping, contributing to raising up. You see, one of the things that's happening, my brothers and sisters, most of us old hats, so to speak, we are as old wineskins, old teachings indoctrinated in us, some in which we cannot release, or we do not yield to the release by the power of the might of Yahusha. It is for this reason that many of the adults will not make it to the promised land, trying to hold on to compromising teachings that they believe are set apart and true. For some reason, this has just been so ingrained, and they have reasons like, you think everybody would be wrong? Case in point, when it comes to the matter of fringes or zits, it's supposed to be a purple cord used to hem your garment neatly, not phylacteries, not strings dangling. But because so many people have passed that teaching, you see these people wearing zits and fringes. That is not what the Almighty Father ordered. He said, hem your garment neatly with a purple cord. Why purple? Blue and red make purple. Blue representing the living word of the Almighty Father. Red making known that through the blood of the Lamb comes renewal. Together, purple, emphasizing his word, is made possible by him and by the blood of the Lamb. His word manifest and sacrificed before us. That's a teaching that's so old. Many people will kick, many among Yashar'al will kick and continue to wear fringes and zits for vanity's sake. I tell you another one, Shabbat. Shabbat is morning to morning. We are agricultural people. We work from daylight in the morning to when the sun goes down in the evening. But so many people have jumped and followed an age-old teaching saying Shabbat is when it starts to get dark on the 6th day to when it starts to get dark on the 7th day. We are children of the light. You see what happened, my brothers and sisters, and I prayed and asked, well, how did this come to be? As Yashar'al began to awakening years ago, they looked at the synagogue of Satan, those who claim to be Jews or Hebrews and are not, but the synagogue of Satan. They looked at what they're doing and saying, you're not the true Jew. I'm the true Jew. I'm the one supposed to do it. And so they took their practices saying it belongs to them, but their practices have turned the scriptures upside down. They went from starting to get dark on the day known as Friday to start to get dark on the day known as Saturday, which are pagan names. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, it is the 7th day of rest. If you look at man, take away all electricity, and you look at man working. During the days of old, there weren't street lights, night lights, and we weren't taught to just consume a lot of trees to burn light. There were times of rest and times of work, and the work took place at the crack of dawn. And they continued to work till they could work no longer. Just as the full moon comes once a month, it lights up the sky during a time of harvest. Do you know that there are multiple different harvests throughout the year? Oh, Yashar'al, the things I'm saying to you, there are many old hats. There are many who are as old wineskins who cannot fathom the truth that I'm presenting. They struggle because they say for so many years, this is the way they've been taught. It can't be wrong. Everybody can't be wrong. But know this, O Yashar'al, the truth will magnify in such a way that those who hold on to these old wineskins, fermented in old teachings, will find themselves left behind. Those that do not yield to correction will find themselves facing physical death, sickness unto death, left behind. You see, O Yashar'al, the unity that must come in this final Exodus, it will come at the life of many. It will come at the removal of many leaders. We will witness new wineskin, individuals hungry for the truth, hungry for unity and oneness, who have the fortitude, whose spirit been stirred to release the ancient old practices that are not older than the Ancient of Days teachings. In other words, they might say, well, we've been doing this 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 400 years, but they're not older than the ways of the Almighty Father. Pray, O Yashar'al. I invite your questions, your comments, your discussion. Pray, discuss, choose, and respond. Remember these words, O Yashar'al. Matthew 24, 20 through 22nd verse says, and pray that your flight does not take place in the winter or on Shabbat, for then there shall be great distress such as has not been since the beginning of the world unto the time nor ever. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved, but for the sake of the chosen one, those days shall be shortened. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, I prayed and asked the Almighty Father, what will it be like for the days to be shortened? What does he mean? Will it be like we read when the sun and the moon stood still during days of old? What does it mean? And I believe that the Almighty Father, in the name of Yahusha, taught me to believe and receive that the days will be shortened as a result of forced migration and movement. You see, my brothers and sisters, the closing scroll will force people back to the promised land. And those who are on the Western Hemisphere, as they move eastward, they will lose time. For example, if you were to go from California to Virginia, you would lose 3 hours. Your day would be shortened. If you were to go from Virginia to the promised land, you would lose 7 to 8 hours. Your days would be shortened. So the days will be shortened is indicating that in forced migrations, in forced movement, you will migrate from different time zones. And it didn't say everybody's day is shortened. Make no mistake, all that is written we will come to understand. And as these things come, let us be prepared to manage our emotions, follow orders that will come directly from the Spirit of Yahuah to us and through us one towards another. Leadership will come. Soon we will witness 2 witnesses. We will see 2 witnesses as mentioned in Revelation 11 chapter. And I am compelled to believe these are the last most influential shepherds for Yashar'al, and that their ministry will come, and that Yashar'al will acknowledge and confirm their presence, and that Yashar'al will witness things that they can do, Yashar'al could do, as well as the witnesses can do, that bring about unity and fulfillment to what is written. Pray, O Yashar'al. Pain will come. We will weep. We will face pain. We will have times to rejoice. End times are here. Remember, Matthew 16:25 says, for whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. It also states that in other passages, but let me also read John 14:6. Yahusha said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. My brothers and sisters, we will learn to identify living orders and warnings. We will understand the reality of the closing scroll before it's too late, many of us. And some of us, when we discover that the scroll is closing, that habitable places on this planet are shrinking, and that man is migrating back gradually to the region where life began. Some will recognize it too late and will be left behind. Forgiveness will still be there for the children of Yashar'al. To be washed in the blood still exists for those drawn by the Almighty Father. But some of us will be left behind. Some of us will die. And though the multitude is great, and I believe tens of millions of people will be gathered from the four corners of the earth to represent the fulfillment of the final Exodus. My charge, O Yashar'al, is to contribute towards the Western Hemisphere and gathering the children of Yashar'al back to the Promised Land. My charge is to make known to the world that is set apart, that the Almighty Father will stir your spirit and gradually cause you to start migrating to the borders that bring you closer towards the Promised Land, and that there will be leadership, inform you that there will be leadership chosen by the Almighty Father, led, and we will all gather and meet up at the mountain of Yahuah in that region. That mountain currently is known as Jabal, situated in the northwest quadrant of what is known as Saudi Arabia, which is truly northeast Africa. Jabal is the true Mount Sinai. There are those that will have you believe it's South Central Africa. Choose wisely, O Yashar'al, for there will be the deceived. There will be those who say, well, I don't know, so I don't know what to do. Make no mistake, the final Exodus, countdown 2023, the designated place, the point of return, the mountain of Yahuah, the true mountain, the true Mount Sinai. That region will house millions, tens of millions of people. And there will be some brothers still in the area that's called Jerusalem, waiting on the physical return of Yahusha Mashyach. But once Yashar'al is gathered, the two witnesses will go to Jerusalem, and they will preach to the set-apart children that are there, that go to the set-apart mountain region. This is where collectively all of Yashar'al will be. Many people think the two witnesses' job is just to go attack or exact vengeance on the wicked. No, they will be going into Jerusalem to tell those who need to flee. Remember the scriptures say, let those who are in Jerusalem flee to the mountains. And I submit it's referring to the mountains centered around Jabal. Yashar'al, or Yashar'al, the final Exodus, countdown 2023. I will present details, more things that are necessary in the forming of a set-apart nation into unity. And I invite each and every one of you to ask questions. Do not fall for the false teachers, the false mores, the false pastors, who seek to just lift themselves up and make a name for themselves, who think more highly of themselves than others. Pray and watch, O Yashar'al. Deliverance is coming. I come to the conclusion in this part by saying, choose wisely, my brothers and sisters. The great conjunction of December 21, 2020, the great and bright star, marks the deliverance countdown for a set-apart nation. And watch, by 2023, it would have been 400 years from 1623. Again, I say, look it up. Look up the great conjunction. Look up the article that talks about 1623. Add 400 years to that, and it gives you 2023. There will be the deniers, and there will be the acceptors. We can be in doubt, and we can challenge, and we can say, oh, he's giving another person giving dates. There was a fairy tale in the schools called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And each time he cried, there was no wolf. And then when the wolf came, they ignored him. I believe a lot of stories and information that can be learned was stolen from Scripture. Know this, O Yashar'al. Though there have been many date setters that have come and gone, at some point, some dates will be real. And when those dates become real, and they come fulfilling what they are supposed to fulfill, where would you be? Among the deniers or in the midst of the obedient? Choose wisely, vet, ask questions, prepare for unity to emerge, O set-apart children of Yashar'al. My name is Symmanayah. This concludes this segment. There is so much work to be done, and I will present details of what types of work is expected in the coming days. On that note, I salute your patience and your tolerance. I salute your pursuit of set-apartness, your desire to worship and obey the Almighty Father. And I say to you, O Yashar'al, my brother, my sister, my family, the realities of the work that's ahead of us will seem overwhelming. But I would say to you, behold the hand of the Almighty Father. Behold his deliverance come. Recognize his judgment that will shape us into obedience as one, and let us shout together, hallelujah. On that note, I say to you, O set apart one, who received this message, I say to you, be encouraged, our redemption draws near. Shalom.